Hey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream, Saturday Live. Boys and girls, men, women, lovers of Star Wars everywhere. Welcome to the stream. I know there's a bunch of you on the chat already, so thanks for tuning in. Glad to have you here. I see your question. The room is dark. Yes, it is. In fact, let me do this real quick, just for fun. Sorry, there. That should be better on the audio there. I killed the music. Forgot to kill that. Thanks, Spy Hunter. Yeah. So today's a special day. We're trying something new out, and I haven't done it before. And other than a very short, extremely short practice session just a few minutes ago, but here we'll make this a bit more Sith-like. How's that? Better? I think that's probably better. But we're gonna do something fun today. Good, fun things in the chat. So Daniel, yeah. The reason I don't have over 10,000 subs is I haven't put a ton of effort into this channel lately. So I do this because it's fun and I enjoy it, and it's fun to hang out and chat with y'all, talking around stuff like that. So I like the red better, more Sith-like. So let's see how the chat. It's good to see you all. Welcome to the stream. Everybody who loves Star Wars, and in my case especially loves Darth Vader. It's good to see you all. Good to chat with you all. And today, for the very first time streaming live, we're going to have a guest. Yes, my guest is standing by and awaiting. I should have had sound effects. I could have had some sound effects and used Darth Vader's voice, and probably immediately gotten a copyright strike from Lucasfilm. But, whatever. So let's see. It's let's see. I know there's a couple questions up here. Transforming a Ruby's Vader into a 501st accepted Vader. Honestly, James, you are better off not even trying. There's so many modifications, including the helmet, that have to be made. It'd be better for you to start from scratch and just build one from the ground up. So, Thomas, what's the most underrepresented detachment when we do troops? Up here, a lot of the detachments are the most underrepresented detachments. So, all right. So, I'm going to bring in my guest all the way from the west coast of Washington State. We're bringing in our very own Brian Peterson, who is standing by on Skype. So it's going to take me just a second to set this up and get it up here, but I'm going to pull him in now. You all should be able to see him. And then as soon as I do this, now he should be able to talk and you should be able to hear him. How's it going, Brian? Hopefully. Oh, I can hear the breathing.
It's going real good.
Did you leave the voice changer in that?
Say what?
Did you leave the voice changer in the helmet?
I did. I put some buttons down the bottom so I could push the buttons to it.
Nice. That's awesome. So for those of you that don't know, which I think probably most of you do, but just in case you don't, Brian is part of the Alaska Garrison, but he's military, so he's currently not in the state of Alaska, although that will be changing not too much longer.
Months.
And we're all very, very excited about that. But he is a really awesome guy, and you've seen him on a lot of videos, especially the really quirky ones, because when he and I get together, craziness and shenanigans really ensue, because we think a lot alike, and so it's a lot of spontaneous fun and games. And good Lord, that is a big cup. That's awesome. So, but most recently, Brian and Jen were at Star Wars Celebration. I guess it wouldn't be most recently. Hey, John, you're on the chat. Awesome. Good to see you, John. I've been thinking about you lately. Hoping you're doing well. And as part of that, Brian, if you want to intro and talk a little bit about that, but we're going to play a video here in a few minutes about Star Wars Celebration that was shot by a friend of ours up here who is a media video producer guy and an all-around pretty cool guy. And yeah, so the helmet, Brian, you were wearing the helmet, was your helmet from
the go-kart races at Star Wars Celebration as part of the droid builders. And so yes, Arminius, it was the Millennium Falcon go-kart. So we used some of the normal go-kart racing requirements. So this is ironically it's called a Vader motorcycle helmet, and perfect because it was black and it had a face shield. Well, I didn't like the face shield, so we got a Black Series Vader helmet, and I did the unthinkable after spending the $25 or whatever to get it here, and I took a Dremel to it and tore it all apart. So I mean, it mounts on, and it's obviously can see through. So I had all of the normal safety requirements and the fun of being able to have Vader to be able to speak. Plus, it has the microphone in it, so I could push the other button on the bottom and I could talk as Vader. So it made it a good time. But so I stopped. Most of them channel that have seen me know that I'm building R2-D2. So I stopped in about November of last year to do this harebrained idea that some of the droid builders we'd gotten in our mind. We took a crazy kart, go-kart, and then we were modifying them to race. So Jimmy Gaddis, who's used to be with KTU 11, right, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was with 11. He came down and did a video on it, and my good friend Jimmy M out in Pennsylvania was my competitor in his Darth Maul land speeder with the death of the Porg being fueled by the blood of the Porg. We duked it out in our go-karts. So, yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, that land speeder with the Porgs was pretty awesome. I really like that. So I'm going to play the video that our friend Jimmy Gaddis produced, and it's pretty cool. He did a really good job on it and made me really sad that I missed Star Wars Celebration. But, okay, let's see. As Brian and I talk over this, you'll be able to hear it, but here's the video.
Alaska. It may seem like a galaxy far, far away to folks down in the lower 48, but I will have you know that the Star Wars fandom here is some of the strongest around, especially the local 501st, which boasts an admiral who's pretty good at shipmaking. Recently, he brought his favorite hunk of junk to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago.
Used 3 sheets of polycarbonate that I got at a Home Depot. There's some 6-inch sewer PVC, a dryer vent.
It looks like a large-scale model of Han Solo's famous Falcon.
A bunch of craft foam, a lot of hot glue, and Bond's cement.
But take out this center compartment and you can take it for a spin. Brian Peterson of Eagle River built this glorious go-kart and brought it to Star Wars Celebration, face off against one of the best pilots on the East Coast.
Like
Are you
Jimmy
talking
here?
to the loser of the race?
Oh, see?
That would be Jimmy Marsney of Brooklyn, New York. With a Porg flattened on the windshield and 2 more stuck in the engines, he drives a souped-up land speeder. Before the race, Jimmy gives Brian the edge in a number of categories, including, well, stability.
He's pretty stable. I'm a little unstable. Ask my wife, she'll tell you.
With the Vader helmet on and a thumbs up,
Come on, let's go!
Brian takes to the starting line and fires up the engines. He's got the advantage around the turns and quickly takes the lead.
Jimmy was
Has
daydreaming.
0-point turns, so I can go
You
into
can't
very
hear
tight
anything
spins.
inside that helmet.
I can drift.
But Jimmy's ride can do 30 miles per hour on the straightaways, and he eventually catches up.
So we kind of have the Fast and the Furious Star Wars, and it's absolutely a lot of fun.
This is going to be a close one, but winning really is secondary. These guys just want to put on a show and bring smiles to some young faces. something Brian is pretty good at back home
Yes, you
as a
get
member
sick
of
doing
the
that.
501st Legion's Alaska Garrison. Brian says these bad guys doing good lead the Legion globally when it comes to hospital visits. Oftentimes, they're there to brighten the spirits of a child that's sick or injured. They do it at least twice a month without fail.
Seeing the looks on little kids' faces, even adults or, medical providers, first responders, it's just an absolute joy to be able to do that. That's really what I do it for.
A few years ago, Brian was encouraged by his good friend Jake Sloan, aka Alaska Vader,
up, Jake.
to join the ranks.
Darth Vader's one of my best friends, so I didn't want to, be a minion, so I chose to be an admiral so I could talk back to him and have a higher chance of success at not getting force choked.
And like Vader, the Force was strong with Brian. For the sake of the story, we'll give Brian the win on this one.
Nice job, Jimmy.
With the champagne.
While Jimmy got a priceless consolation prize.
If nothing else, throughout all this whole thing, I made a good friend from
Absolutely.
Alaska this trip.
Absolutely.
We should mention Brian is a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army, currently stationed in Washington State. That is where he actually built the Falcon. His fellow 501ster Jen Wallace flew in from Alaska, and the two of them then drove the 2,000 plus miles from Seattle to the big celebration in Chicago. In Alaska, I'm James Caddis.
So that was, that was pretty awesome.
Thanks.
I love the shots. Man, that little speeder, that thing is so fast. That was just crazy. How fast you were off the line on that.
Well, so Jimmy go-kart is a traditional go-kart. So he literally welded the whole frame, built motors. His will do 30 miles an hour.
Jeez.
So I had to beat him off the line.
Yeah. You definitely could hug those corners, man. Watching you drift around those corners and just, oh my gosh.
So
Daniel wants to know how long it took you to build the go-kart.
So I started in November of 18. It was off and on. I had a trip to Japan that took me out for about half the month of December, and then of course it's the holidays time. So my dad came up with my mom, and he helped me get some of the plates together. A lot of it was build time, but honestly, Jen came down the Saturday before celebration started, and we were still painting it before we left. So like literally hours before we left to put it in the truck, we were still painting it. As far as it cost, the go-kart itself, the crazy cart was about $450, $470, something like that. Got it from Walmart, delivered to the house for free. And the rest, probably $300 in polycarbonate and Home Depot, Lowe's supplies, and craft supplies.
And a lot of man hours.
A lot of hours, even more hours out of Jen, convincing her, no, I need you to darker. You need to paint it again. More weathering. Not that much weathering. Oh crap, we can't take it off.
Yeah. The pictures of it's just insane, the level of detail that you put into that thing. I'm like, good Lord. Most people be like, I'm building a Millennium Falcon, and there'd be like some gray cardboard circles around a go-kart, and here you're like building a studio scale classic model of every little detail, so you can do like macro shots of it flying by, and then Jen doing all the weathering, and you guys just crazy, but it looked amazing. And
well, it's gonna get better. So Jake and I were talking before the stream. I would like to get a hold of a Profi board or figure out all the components so I can make one myself. I want to since Profi has like the best effects for the lightsaber for Kylo when it's fluctuating. Want to do the blue with white, and that could be the Millennium Falcon engine. So I could have that going. I have speakers and audio cards and other buttons to put into it, but yeah. When you're still 30 minutes before you need to leave, still working on it, you have to call it quits at some point.
Yeah, especially when you're driving across the country to go to across the country to go to Star Wars Celebration. You basically have a hard stop where you got to get it in and get it loaded up and go. That's a problem. So I'm trying to remember which element it is that burns blue. I was thinking, like, could you like create a little duster of that powder and just have it ignite so the blue flame flies out the back when you hit the accelerator? Just...
I don't know. That's getting copper pretty hot to do that burn. But yeah, I mean, so the whole point was having. So I got a whole rear panel with the celled stuff that they use for sheds or sun houses, greenhouses. That's what I was looking for. Greenhouses. Things we grow them outside. Made of that material so it would get the reflection, and then just like you did in your lightsaber tube, did some sanding in it to help get the diffraction. The whole inside of that area is lined with aluminum, so I could have the RGBs broadcasting in any direction, and it would get the illumination and help diffuse it, so you're not getting all the hot spots. Can't talk. So, but it's not done. It's not done. If I can get a Profi board, we'll do that, and then. I have found some motors, or a motor that I need to get. The battery is the most expensive part. Kick it up to 48 volts, and it'll do 35 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh. At 35 miles an hour, I don't think your helmet's going to do much if something bad happens there. But then again, you're already pretty close to the ground, so... Looking at the difference between yours and the land speeder one, like the land speeder one looks so awkward because it's like everything, the land speeder he's sitting on top, and so you have this tiny little land speeder, this regular sized human on top, and then yours looked good because you're like sitting down in the cockpit inside the Millennium Falcon. The center of gravity on yours looked a lot lower than on his, but they both pretty awesome. Let's see.
So I think Arminius asked if I have broken it. So I've driven it a lot. So the tires that come with the Crazy Cart are horrid, absolutely horrid. I think I spent my first 20 minutes on it, and I blew out 2 tires, rubbed them completely raw down to the ground, and then had to ordered another set, went through those in about 45 minutes. You're supposed to get almost an hour of runtime with this thing, so I was never even getting a full run. And then I went to rollerblades for my drifts, and it wasn't until cruising around with my daughter Michaela on it that we probably put about an hour and 10 minutes on it, and then finally lost one of the tires, moved them around, put another one on, and it's been running great since. So yeah, it's great. We'll make a sound card to go in as well. It has some of the Falcon sounds. A lot of additional things I wanted to do, but my OCD, the same OCD that keeps R2 from being done yet, is the same OCD that hit the Falcon that made Jen really mad at me and want to throw paint at me.
Oh yeah. Well, that segues nicely into what's happening with R2, because at least the last time he was seen on this stream, it was pretty much just the dome. And the one and only part that I can say I actually did help you put together, which was the little LED. Unfortunately, I didn't even solder anything. I just stuck LEDs in it, but I can say I helped.
Yeah, but that was like 220 LEDs that we had to fit in holes and solder them. And Connor did a fantastic job. They still work well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot going on. So when we were at Celebration, if anyone was there, if you did not make it to the Droid Builders areas, we had 3 areas. We had an area where you could go meet R2KT. I love R2KT. She's absolutely fantastic, and what she stands for. If we build another droid, I'll be building a droid for Michaela, my daughter, not to be an R2KT. Just it's what I like to do. And then we had the Droid Builders races, where you could see the land speeders, you could see the go-karts, you could see the Mouse Demolition Derby, you could see the Mouse Builders, the Mousezillas racing off, and you could see the Astromechs actually all racing off. And then down, you take the long elevator down past Starbucks, the 2-3-story elevator. You could go see 120 droids down there, everything from full-size K2SO to fully animatronic C-3PO and all that. So that was absolutely fantastic. And since I had been delinquent working on this project Black Betty, which is I name all of my projects. Usually it has black something in it and relates. So Project Black Mamba had to sit on the sidelines, and nothing worse. It's kind of like watching Jake build his Vader for the first time, and you get the bug, and you're just like, ooh, ooh, I gotta do. So yeah, got the bug back, came back, started building. I can go get one of his legs. It's all together and ready to go. But that will last until Monday. Actually, probably this weekend, and I'm going to rip him all apart, 100% down. He's going all the way back down, completely torn apart. My mentor in droid builder mentor in California, Kevin Holm, is a fantastic guy, and he is offered me an opportunity to make R2 go 323, which is in A New Hope, where you see Princess Leia is talking to R2, and he's standing on the two legs, and then he drops his third leg down and rolls down. It's a fairly rare trait in droids, and it's going to require some drilling. Borrowed a drill press from one of my friends. Going to be chopping R2 up and cutting a lot out of him. May have to do some paint retouching, but it's going to be absolutely fantastic because he'll do something that most other droids can't do.
So basically, the story of R2 is he's been getting built and then torn down, and then built and then torn down, and then built, and a new part comes on the market, so he gets torn down.
It's like a classic car.
It's a continual process of like, almost there, and oh, that's really cool, and I have to integrate that. And so then it all, gets torn down to be able to integrate the newest, latest, and greatest. For some reason, I think that you're going to be tinkering with R2 until we're both sitting around in our hundreds yelling at kids to get off our lawn.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But I will have him back together. I have the droid builders have thrown a deadline onto me that I need to get him rolling by September. So I was like, I will have him together. I mean, he's fully painted. He's ready to go. I'll have to do a little touch-up paint after I do some of this surgery. But yeah, he's awesome.
And that's the big thing. Is like painting R2 was a huge chunk of time and labor intensive and labor of love, and like the repaints that you had to do and the layers of painting you had to do and everything, and so the bulk of that is done. Realistically, like you're so much further ahead than if you were starting from scratch now. Even it just
absolutely. Well, I mean, even if you go back and look at it, I learned automotive painting. This was not rattle can or paintbrush. I mean, I'm using House of Color automotive paint, which is what they use on hot rods, because that's what they used on R2 in the movies. He's actually got multiple colors of paint in him, and it gets the best color. He actually has purple in his blue, and there's metallic in there. So learning how to do that and screwing up a lot of test panels was huge. Jen sat in the garage sitting on a bucket watching me paint, and then go, yeah, that looks cool. Oh, I screwed that up. Drop that in acetone. And you watch the paint melt off. And
yeah, that's
hey, if you'd ever send me your shins, I could paint those for you.
I know. I know. Those shins will probably get painted about the same time that I get my Wookiee done, and you get your Wookiee done.
No, because I'll have my spray booth set back up in Alaska when I move there, so I can paint them then.
Right?
So,
at this point, I'm thinking that might be actually probably what happens.
Or
I'm
just
not
give it
in
to
desperate
July.
need of them either, so it's...
You could just give them to me in July when I'm up there.
There we go. I will do that. I need you to remind me, though. I'll have to put a reminder in my phone now to go, hey, don't forget to get those to Brian. And obviously the most progress I've made on my Wookiee so far is that I sewed several sets of pants that none of them worked. But I learned something along the way. So much like you figuring out how to do a really high quality paint job with automotive paints, I'm figuring out why I'm not a tailor or anything close to a tailor, and probably will never be a tailor because I can't sew the most basic, rudimentary piece of fabric for pants. I mean, yeah, anyway, so, yeah, just, oh my gosh, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. And the thing with costuming or droid building or any of this stuff, like, I don't think it's a thing where you're ever truly done necessarily. I think you're like, I mean, beyond repairs even, you're kind of always making little minor tweaks and adjustments and trying out something new here and something new there. Case in point, like I put a different speaker in this thing to try it out because apparently they were supposed to be really great speakers, and they're not bad. They just don't work with my sound card. So the last event I had my Saber out for, it blew out the speaker almost immediately. So, you know, that was fun, but it didn't matter. Half the time I'm there, I have it on mute anyway because
right,
it's a loud event. There's no reason to have the sound on, and nobody's going to hear it even if you did.
Yeah.
So
I'm not muting R2 for you. I'm sorry.
No, don't mute. No. Well, an R2 won't have any trouble competing with any sorts of volume with anyone, anywhere, at any time. I have a feeling when we do our first hospital visit with R2, the whole entire hospital is going to hear him rolling down the halls.
He can be quiet. He can do quiet.
Right. Yeah. In the appropriate settings, R2 will be well behaved and quiet. But Brandon, my helmet is one made by a guy named Stone, who I can't recommend you do business with just because his business practices aren't the greatest right now. But it's a great helmet. There's a couple other makers out there. One's Bookface, who's in the UK, and then one is JMC, who's here in the US. JMC is a little more hit or miss because he just does runs and then puts them up for sale and stuff. If you can find an EFX plastic helmet, PCR helmet, those are great helmets. And there might be some other makers out there coming on the scene, but they're not really up and running yet. So, and occasionally you can find decent ones on eBay. I'll say it again because I probably say it every stream, but it's important. Don't ever pay anyone with anything other than goods and services via PayPal, and never let your dispute period expire. Ever. Don't ever do that.
Never, ever, ever.
And never do that. It is just, yeah. So, yeah, Brandon, if you're doing ESB, there's a guy that sells them on eBay. I don't know what his username is or anything like that, but he does a pretty decent helmet. But you'll probably have to get it painted locally, maybe. So, yeah. Arminus, yes, we do have a Royal Guard in our garrison. He doesn't get the chance to come to very many events, but we do have one. We had two, but then one of them had to move for work.
Well, technically, he's still on our rolls. He hasn't shifted.
That's true. He hasn't shifted. And he still works up here. He just doesn't live
he has no time
up here. Oh, that's right, Sorensen. There's also Portamac. And Portamac actually might be one of the more reliable vendors at the moment and easier ones to get a hold of. So there's that. For ESB 2, the Innovus helmet is an option. It's super heavy. It weighs like 8 pounds, which is more than double the weight of my helmet with fans and all the other stuff that I throw in there, which to me is crazy because it's so heavy.
So Fire Burning, I don't have any other costumes. So like it said in the video, the whole reason I went with an Admiral, Jake was trying to get me to do a Stormtrooper or any costume. And I told him it was like any costume. You know, I remember he was trying to get me on the white armor. And so I went with an Imperial Officer because building R2 is what I started first. And walking around like this in toilet paper tubes like all the rest of the helmeted characters is probably not what you want to do when you're driving a droid that is about going to be pushing 300 pounds. Toes would be suffering that. As soon as I get R2 into a rolling state where he'll be continuing to work, like Jake's building Chewbacca, my goal is to build a Black Kurstan, which is a Wookiee bounty hunter. And if I take the dreads off, he can also be in the Rebel Legion as well. So then we would have 2 Wookiees for Jake and I to be lots of shenanigans.
Yes. And that, I that I'm really looking forward to, because the
And the Wookiee in the Falcon looks amazing. I have videos. I have pictures and videos of that.
oh, then there's that too. I think I just like, from everything I've heard, the Wookiee suits, at least doing them the way that I'm doing them and Brian's doing his, is that they're super lightweight, comfortable, lots of flexibility, lots of motion, movement, all of that. And I can't wait to have a costume that I could really, and the character of a
Sit down,
Wookiee is
please.
not so serious too. So you get to just have a lot of fun and play with people and bug people, and it'll be interesting to see how kids react to Wookiees.
They're all hugs.
Right?
All
Okay.
hugs.
I mean, that's good because I don't know. I watch kids
And the
with
women love- and the
people in
women
gorilla
love Wookiees
suits,
too.
and like that gets a really mixed bag reaction. But then again, a Wookiee is never shown to be like King Kong or in a negative light. Wookiees have always been really positive, so hopefully kids will be fun. But the cool thing is, be able to get down on my knees and play with them. I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be
You've
fun.
done well in your shins. I've worked you into many situations where you've had to get onto your knee.
But it's this like sustained lunge where I don't put any weight on the knee that's down, and you're just kind of sitting there. It's so hard. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I don't know what else to say other than it's hard. It's hard. It looks good. If only people knew. I'm glad I have a helmet on to see the like blood vessels bursting in my face as I'm trying not to fall over while lunging permanently.
Pitbull and I know what's on your face, even though it's behind a helmet. We can tell.
Yeah, I bet you can. It's got to be the heavy breathing, the heavy
exactly.
labored breathing.
500. You don't want to ask me how to take this apart because I completely tore it apart. So the easy answer to give you: start in the battery compartment, find every screw, and start popping the screws, and then eventually you'll get it to where the dome comes off. Obviously, the sound cards will come out, and they're in the back. You can get rid of that whole battery compartment, and then you can get rid of the eyes, the lens covering, stuff like that. Other than that, you probably don't want my advice because it's all Dremels and saws and other things like that, which is probably not going to help you convert it for what you're looking to do.
Basically, a lot of destruction and then a little bit of putting back together and mending stuff back
a little
together.
fixing. A few pop rivets
That's
and
what
hot
it is.
glue.
Oh man. TRs, you guys just stand there? Yeah. Yes, Justice, I did make my own costume, sort of. I mean, I collected parts from different places and put it together and made some parts of my own stuff and other parts that other people make for me. And, yeah, so. Anyway, what time is it? Because I've got to get, oh goodness, we've already used up most of our time together today, which has been fun. Brian get to premiere the very first Skype in guest call-in session, guest hosting session, co-hosting session. There we go. Co-hosting, long-distance co-hosting session, which we'll probably be doing more of now that we know it actually works. And it's fun. Actually, it's really fun. It's a lot of, it takes some of the pressure off me to have to talk about everything the whole entire time. So we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, but I'll answer a few of these questions. Am I doing an ESB or ROTJ Vader? I do an ESB Vader. I started as an ROTJ Vader and then converted. The DB6 is a great hilt for ROTJ Vaders. It's really a cool hilt, but since I'm ESB, I'm using the ESB Vader. The Scene 38 was a Ruby Supreme with a different helmet. Yes, it was. I'm assuming they did that because they're easily available and you don't have to worry about breaking anything. And I think the helmet they used was the EFX PCR plastic helmet. We do have one other Vader up here, but he's 600 miles north, and they only do it here and there, and it's not his only costume. So, but yeah, I'm the main one in Alaska right now. Let's see.
That's Alaska
Good places
Vader.
for TIE pilot stuff. I don't know what, Brian.
I said that's why you're the Alaska Vader.
That's why I'm the Alaska Vader. Yeah. Where do you start with a Death Trooper build? I think they're in the Spec Ops detachment, so I would start there and look there. And for anybody wondering about a Novus, I would avoid them like the plague. They just got touched with a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for not delivering goods, and I have a feeling it's gonna be hard for them to get
The
through.
rumors they're gonna file for bankruptcy.
Yeah,
So.
I don't see any other way. I don't see how they can take multiple years worth of pre-orders, barely deliver any product, and then still be able to refund everybody while they've been paying for development and paying for staff and I just I don't know how. I have a feeling they'll be done, and I don't know how Disney will continue licensing them, or Lucasfilm will continue licensing them after this, because it's a big PR nightmare, so to speak. And then plus Disney is creating their own stuff for their new Star Wars land. So anyway.
So, I'm going to jump in real quick, Jake. There's like 10 different questions about costumes. So if you have not seen one of these live streams before, or listened to Pitbull in there, or anyone else in there from the various costuming groups, so you guys need to go back and look at the historic videos. There's a lot of all the questions you've already been answered are out there. We walked through those things. Go check out one of the detachments. The detachments will help you find vendors or other builders that make the costume parts that you're looking for. You can look at other people's costume threads, and it will tell them who they got it from, who they recommend. If you go out on your own and you're doing Etsy, there are some people out there that do things on Etsy or eBay or other places that you can get. However, as Jake has said, on numerous threads and videos, live streams, you can end up going down a path where you think it looks good and it's completely off, and now you're frustrated and upset and you throw it down in frustration. All you got to do is go pop into one of those detachments that they belong to. So if you're looking for a TIE pilot, go to the TIE pilots, the Jolly Roger Squadron. You want to be a stormtrooper, go to the Teak White Armor. They are going to help you work through that process. There's a lot of experience, a lot of years, a lot of costume builds. They will get you in the right path and help you and show you. And you can look at something on Etsy and go, hey, I found this. What do you guys think? And you'll get a lot of feedback. See, people tell you, like the stone helmets. They're awesome. They're fantastic. Don't do it. You'll never get the product. You'll get ripped off. I can say that. Jake can't. And you're going to get that good feedback, and you'll save yourself a lot of frustration, and then you'll have that much better of a chance of getting your costume approved right away. The Spec Ops attachment for, Death Troopers and stuff like that, great resources. A lot of people are starting to 3D print those. There's one of the guys that I'm still planning on getting his files and 3D printing his, because I still think a Death Trooper is really wicked cool. And being military, that really fits, because I can just go, silent and be the big stoic, scary looking guy in the room, because I do that anyway. So just that's my plug for the attachments to forums. Jake usually says that. Jen and I are usually chatting that. So that's my plug for it. Go to the forums, go read, search. Do not ask, hey, I want to do this. Tell me how to do everything. There is an awesome search function in all of those. If you put a few words into it, you will probably find 20 to 30 different threads that are all talking about the same thing that can all give you fantastic pieces of information, guys. So please go there, search, and when you do a little bit of research, people will be much more willing to help you out.
Yep. That's huge. Don't just jump on these forums or any forums for anything. Don't jump on there and just go, hey, give me all the information. Like, it's all there. There's tons of information there. But you have to put in a little bit of effort and do some searching and do some reading and stuff like that. And chances are, like, if you find a piece on eBay or on Etsy or anywhere, like Brian was saying, like, chances are other people have found it too, and they've already talked about it. And so, the search is your friend. Google is your friend. And on the forums, the search function of the forums is your friend. So, and then read a lot of other people's build threads too, because that'll give you tons of information about what they do, why they pick certain parts, or why they pick certain pieces from certain vendors, and whether that'll work good for you or not. That all plays into it. So I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Brian, thanks for Skyping in. It was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
This might be a more regular thing now that we know it works. It's cool. I like it. So other than that, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Say thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out this morning. We'll be back next week with another stream. I know some of you have been asking about another trooping video. I don't know. We've had a few events, a lot of which I haven't been able to make for because I've been working. And then I think our next event is actually a hospital troop, which we generally don't film unless they expressly give us permission to. So the next
4th of July
event.
is coming.
What's that?
4th of July parade.
Yes.
And
So
I'll be there.
in early July, we've got some troops that I'm sure there will be a video from those. And I have several action cameras now, so you might actually get like lots of little angles to view from. So yeah, anyway. So other than that, we'll see you next week, same time-ish and same place for sure, unless YouTube crashes and the whole world just stops working because Google stopped working right when I ended the stream last week. Other than that, I'll say, thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for sharing the hosting duties with me, Brian. It was a lot of fun. We will catch you again soon in the next live stream. And yeah, other than that, have a great Sunday. We'll see you later. Cheers.
It's Saturday.
Or yeah, Saturday.